This should be the England Gambit Part 6. And in fact, I've devoted another page here to what happens when people decline the England Gambit, which is the cowardly act of all time because uh, why not take an unprotected e5 pawn? The fact is that the only people who do this are actually fairly highly rated players who are completely unfamiliar with it. And I've never seen a lower rated player decline it. Well, I take that back. I have seen one or two. So the thing is that a lot of very highly rated players decline this gambit because they depend on their preparation a lot and they're scared of someone who might be really well prepared who's also rated fairly high. There's another reason. The other reason is, and this is what I found in practice because I play this exclusively against d4 in speed games, is that these people are generally what I would describe as a time cripple. In other words, they survive at a very high rating, a high blitz rating, by moving extremely fast. They make a lot of B and C moves and almost no A moves, and they're just really good at playing closed positional chess and running the opponent's clock out. And they must have great hand-eye coordination, or in this case, like finger-mouse coordination or something. And they're tactical cowards. They don't want to get into a tactical exchange with somebody. When you get them into a tactical exchange, they fall apart. So the standard way that people decline this, there's two ways I've noticed. They either just move c4, let me take the d-pawn, which is insane because then I come out with a gain of time, or they push d5, which is equally silly, but better. And the fact is that when this happens, and I've showed a number of games like this, I immediately move bishop to c5 and begin an attack on f2, which in general, if they're smart, they close up with e3 at the first possible moment and develop in a more closed fashion because that's what they are used to playing. However, there are people who get greedy and try to go after e4 and have basically open positions in mind, and it depends on what kind of play you're going into. And my favorite technique is to transpose into a Dutch type formation. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you a game that's once again a 5-0 game played against somebody rated, their blitz rating is 21-25, and I played this person a number of times, and they're a perfectly decent player, and I'm going to show you yet another case of somebody playing against the England Gambit and falling completely apart, a fairly highly rated player making a really terrible move, and it happens in 13 moves, as I recall. So here we see the way it's declined. We're not even going to show the computer analysis. I don't think it's necessary. Knight to f3. And now we talk about going into a Dutch type formation, which is what I like. And that's already an error. Making that move. The fact is that I could have played just pawn takes pawn here. And in playing pawn takes pawn on the knight to f6, that puts a lot of pressure on White's position because if he retreats, he gets forked. So this is all very standard. Now, if you'll notice, I believe that the analysis would be that black already has an advantage. Now, we can play this move here, and it is successfully played. Although, as you've seen in the past, I like castling, and this is a monumental blunder. Bishop takes by a 21-25 is unforgivable. The fact is that now the f2 square gets attacked, and if he'd simply played bishop takes knight, it seems to me he'd be okay. He gets that now. That's his best move. Otherwise, he gets a huge loss of position, and now I just retreat. I'm not saying these are the best moves in terms of what the computer says, but White is already lost here. That is another really silly move, allowing a bishop check on h3, forcing his king into the middle, which, by the way, I don't do. I would rather pin his knight. So I have a lot of threats here, and it's just getting worse and worse for White. Now he moves king to g2 because he realized he made a serious error, and I set up going after that knight anyway, and he plays bishop takes, rook takes. Now he moves to attack my h-pawn. I move queen to h5, and isn't that just about the worst move you ever saw? Well, that's why I don't name names on the internet. So what he gets here is mate in 1. And this is a 13 move game. Now, he might have been depressed because he missed a cheapo to begin with. And usually players who are highly rated, they're not always looking for these cheapos, and they don't expect it of somebody else. And they live in a little different world. So this was a very short game and kind of ridiculous, but it was worth looking at. And the reason why is because of the kind of mindset that occurs facing the England Gambit, and everything that I said was true. What we see here is tactical cowardice, and the end of the game very quickly.